TV and movies have always shown the Nazis as, ruthless killing machines, but now they're being shown as thieves. They like stealing art, books, meth, everything is going to them. So The Book Thief is directed by Brian Percival, written by Michael Petroni, and is based on the book by Marcus Zuzak. And I actually have not read the book. I bought it, but I haven't read it. This movie stars Sophie Nélisse, Jeffrey Rush, Emily Watson, and Ben Schnetzer. Now, The Book Thief centers around this girl named Liesel Memminger. She's a German girl, and she is adopted by Hans and Rosa Huberman, I think. And this movie pretty much just kind of follows her life living in this pre-World War II to, mid-World War II society. And she eventually develops this love for reading, which is helped on by her kind of habit that she develops of stealing books from this person's house. And just like my last movie review for the Filipino movie, Aba Nakakabasa na Pala Ako, this movie is pretty much kind of like a slice of life-ish kind of thing. It really just shows chapters in her life. One of the more important chapters is when they have to hide a Jew in their basement. His name is Max. And before going to this movie, I really heard lots of great things about the book. I have lots of friends who are fans of the book, and I haven't read it, but from the little I've read from it, I could kind of tell that it might be a bit hard to translate the film. And again, watching this movie, it really showed that they kind of, I think, had difficulty with certain parts. I'll get to those later, but this movie still does have a lot of good stuff in it. For one, this movie looks really, really good. I'm always a fan of when movies show certain time periods that we're so used to seeing in a certain way, but the movie shows it in a different way. Just like how The Monuments Men showed, Paris when, all the Germans were not there. The Book Thief shows this wartime civilian Germany at the time period when the war was pretty distant from the civilians. It's interesting to see how the civilians were kind of disconnected from the war. So, production design in this movie and cinematography is really, really good. This movie uses its settings really well. Heaven Street is where most of the main story takes place, and after a while it does start to feel like home. And the other locales also just begin to feel like, neighborhood. And as I mentioned in one of my Oscar videos, the score for The Book Thief was nominated for Best Original Score, and it's by John Williams. Now, this is a very unusual score for John Williams because people know him as the guy who made the soundtracks to Star Wars and Indiana Jones, stuff like that. But now here, it's very, very sparse. It's not very anthemic. It's very quiet. And or I thought this score worked very well for this film. Now, I actually really enjoyed the writing in this movie. I thought it was written very well. The plot itself, while it is like a collection of vignettes, sometimes it really avoids that feeling of feeling like just a collection of scenes. For the most part at least. Like, there is still a narrative connecting everything together. Also, the characters were very well drawn. I was surprised to see. What's interesting about the characters is that they all end up representing different kinds of reactions to wartime. You have, Sophie Nélisse playing Liesel, who's kind of, she doesn't really know that much about the war. She's just trying to thrive in it. Jeffrey Rush and Emily Watson are very different personalities, but, they know that this war is happening. The Jew Max, played by Ben Schnetzer, is obviously, running away from something. But overall, I like how these characters are illustrated through their dialogue, and it really just focuses on the characters, not so much about the war. The war is mostly kept in the background, but it is still important. However, despite these things, like I said, The Book Thief is kind of like a mixed bag. For one, I'm not really bothered by the slowish pace of this movie. I thought that pace, fit the story well. It's just that when certain sequences are supposed to be exciting, the editing suddenly becomes this, quick jump montage kind of thing, and it's really, really awkward. There's scenes where Sophie's reading or telling a story, stuff like that, and just kind of jumps through dialogue, and it's really, really strange. Also, one big thing that I heard about this book, which actually compelled me to buy it and compelled me to watch this, was that it was narrated by Death. Yes, and that is completely just enough to sell it to me. But I was really disappointed in how they handled Death. Like, whenever he showed up and whenever he started narrating, it didn't work. Like, it really just, he just felt so unwanted. Whenever he came on, I was like, oh, not Death again, just go back to the story. And I don't think that's what they were trying to do. The Death thing really did become kind of like a gimmick, unfortunately, and completely unnecessary in my opinion. But my biggest problem with this movie is that the ending is really bad. in my opinion at least. It becomes super super tragically sad, but it just completely left a sour taste in my mouth. It just did not handle that kind of surge of emotion very well. And not only was that ending like a bit too sentimental and tragic, it doesn't end there. Like there's a couple of epilogues that are just completely useless. Also, just you could tell they were put in there as an attempt to make things seem happier, but they add nothing to it. They add no insight or anything. It just happens, and I put lots of importance on the ending of a movie because that's a payoff. That's what you wait for, and the payoff here was just not good. So overall, The Book Thief was an okay World War II Germany. Is a very unique look at this time period from the other side. But in my opinion, this movie just isn't special enough. It did have its problems, and the good stuff, while good, wasn't like wow good. So I'm hoping the book is better. I will get around to reading it someday. So yeah. Alright, so what do you guys think of The Book Thief? Have you watched it? Have you read it, though? Which one is better in your opinion? Whatever you think, whether you disagree with me or agree, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.